South Africa's unemployment rate went down marginally in the third quarter. Stats SA data shows the official unemployment rate in the quarter was 31.9%, down from 32.6% in the second quarter. Thanda Sithole, a senior economist at FNB, joins me. Thanda, thanks so much for your time on SABC News this afternoon. Your reaction to that decrease in the unemployment figures?
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. I think the numbers are good, reflecting that the South African labour market is resilient despite economic growth weaknesses. So the economy added close to 400,000 jobs on a quarter-on-quarter basis in the third quarter. And if you look at the past 8 quarters, the economy has actually gained close to 2.5 million jobs. This is despite the economy experiencing challenges related to load shedding and other infrastructure inefficiencies. So I think the numbers do paint, I think they are encouraging. And if you look at the level of unemployment, as we have put it, it has come down to around 31.9% from 32.6% in the second quarter. So I think overall, these are a good set of numbers.
All right, Stats SA says employment gains were recorded in all sectors, the formal sector and agriculture leading in the third quarter.
Definitely. So all the sectors, if you look at it from that perspective, added jobs. The formal sector, the agricultural sector, the private household sector, as well as the informal sector. What we are seeing when we look at those sectors is that all the sectors are now above the pre-pandemic level, except for the private household sector, which is still below the pre-pandemic level. Obviously, that reflects the cost of living pressures that households are experiencing. But then if you look at a more detailed level in terms of the sectors, 6 out of 10 sectors added jobs in the third quarter. And the biggest employment gains were really on the finance sector, followed by community and social services sector. And within the finance sector is mainly the other business services that added jobs, but also banks as well as computer-related services sector also did add jobs. And within the community and social services sector, the biggest employment gains were in the education as well as health and social worker services. So it's mainly those 2 sectors that added the most in terms of the quarter 3 jobs gains.
Yeah. Thanda, if we zoom into the formal sector, we see that quarter-on-quarter increases in finances. You've just spoken about construction and social services, and then decreases in manufacturing, transport, mining, as well as trade and utilities. What can we read from that about the state of the South African economy and where we may be going?
So I think overall, obviously the state of the economy is not in good shape, given that GDP growth is expected to be subdued below 1% this year. But if you look over the medium term, it's consensus expectation that the economy should recover in terms of growth. We're expecting 1.1% next year, rising to around 1.7 by 2025 and 1.8 by 2026. But all of this is premised also on the global economy, as well as on how South Africa sort out the issues of infrastructure inefficiencies, particularly load shedding, as well as inefficiencies in ports and rail. But despite that, what we are seeing in terms of the labour market is that it has actually shown incredible resilience. As I have indicated, that 2.5 million jobs created over the past 8 quarters, despite economic weakness. I think that is to be appreciated in this kind of economic environment.
All right, if we look at the provinces and go by provinces, only the Free State recorded losses in the third quarter. And if we look at it year on year, the biggest increases in employment were in Cape Town, KwaZulu-Natal, and then Limpopo. Is there anything that we can read from either of those figures?
So obviously the bigger provinces generally do add larger jobs and contribute the biggest in terms of total employment. I think what we can read from these numbers is that the employment gains seem to be broad-based, which emphasizes the point that the labor market is more resilient. And obviously also other provinces are doing better in terms of dealing with load shedding, in terms of dealing with other infrastructure challenges. So those provinces such as the Western Cape are probably benefiting from those interventions. But overall, the employment gains, as we see them, seem to be broad-based despite what is happening domestically in terms of economic growth.